Everybody, and welcome to Paradex. This is a very interesting platform that we have talked about a lot on the Discord. This is perpetual options. So these are options that do not expire. Now, I know what you're already thinking, how is that possible? Well, there is a mechanism that kind of acts like time value, and that is a funding rate. So what makes these options very interesting to trade and actually very beatable as well is the fact that they don't have any theta. They have no time decay. Instead, they have funding rates that you can actually earn from or choose to pay. Now, some of these funding rates, guys, can get very, very, very high. Just for some examples I can show you. I mean, if you look at the ones near the strike for these calls and these puts, you can see that this is 15 basis points every 8 hours, which is about 0.45% a day, not including leverage. So if you're on leverage, obviously, it'll be a lot more. So there is just so much that you can do, and I want to dive in. So I started with a small account of just about $200, as you can see here. Started about $199. It has just been kind of easy to make money. I think that's because there's just so much inefficiency on the platform that it's been... This looks not like a smooth P&L, but it really has been a really smooth P&L. Now, the thing is, I don't want to give away alpha because a lot of the alpha of how I was able to do this obviously is going to stay in the Discord. What I will say, though, is that there is just so much that you can do with these plays that you can't do in traditional options. So for stuff like, let's say you wanted to run a bull spread or a bear spread or an iron condor, that's actually what I'm doing right now. So if you see my 4 positions right here, you'll see that this play, if you are option savvy, you will know that this play right here is an iron condor, where I buy the tails, buy the put here at 24.50, and I buy the call at 26.50, and I also short the call and the put in between. As you can see, what you will also see is look at the funding. So here I'm actually going to be just making more money from funding than I lose, even though I'm in a hedge play for my iron condor. Now, previous things that I have done, this might be a bit hard to see, but I've run a short straddle for Bitcoin and for hype. There are certain ways you can do that, and I have written about that in an article that I have on the Discord as well. So the best thing about these, I would say, is probably the funding rate. But for something that we have not talked about in the Discord that I do think is interesting is what you can do with tail options. So this is going to be very, very cheap puts or very, very cheap calls. So let's go over a few of those for Bitcoin, hype, any of these. Now, remember that these do not expire. So if you choose to, you could buy a call at 130,000, and the only thing that will be going against your position is going to be this funding rate. But the good news is this funding rate is an annualized rate of 2.6%. What does that mean, guys? That means that if we buy this call at 130,000, essentially we only lose 2.3% per year. That's not that bad at all. So liquidation, I mean, wouldn't really be a problem because you're barely losing anything. And you can see that a lot of the times buying these, the funding rate is just so small. If you were to buy a far out option, these essentially have a way where you can get very skewed risk reward is what I'm trying to say. Very skewed risk reward where, let's say that Bitcoin goes up, I don't know, 4 or 5K right now. Obviously, these options are going to go up a ton because a $5,000 Bitcoin move would be an all-time high. That'd be a lot of volatility, and volatility would increase this value. Consequently, what you could also do is buy a put, a very, very cheap put. And you don't even have to do this on, let's go to the strike rate. You don't even have to do this on Bitcoin. You can do this with the other assets too. But the play that I kind of am favoring a little bit more that I want to do is buying a very cheap put at the 80K strike. Here's why. So if we do this, again, the funding rate, or what I lose in the position, because there's zero time decay, is I only lose 2.5% a year. Yeah, that's not that bad. And essentially, people can buy these options very, very, very cheap, pay little to nothing, and earn from, obviously crazy price discovery. The only issue is the slippage. As you can see, this is a very large bid-ask spread. So that is a bit of a problem with options this, far out. Now, like I had said, I'd say more of my favorite ways to do this have been on hype. which is Hyperliquid, the token for those who don't know, because it just got more volatility and I just find it more interesting. So let's say that I think that this coin is going to go a lot lower, which I think is a fair assumption. No offense to you, Hyperliquid. Don't at me. If we wanted to, I mean, this is a play that I was looking at for a bit. You could buy these puts, this 22 put, for very, very, very cheap, as you can see. Yeah, like down here when it originated, it was very, very mispriced. Thank God for that. And you can see that there's just a lot of times buying these, you could just flip them for a lot higher. And this is not that bad of a bid-ask spread either. Buying at 14 or putting a bid in at 13, it's not that bad. If you get filled at 13, if I put a bid out, you could then probably sell, a lot higher. And essentially, let's talk about the risk reward of this play. So if the price of hype goes up, obviously this play will not make you money, but it also isn't going to lose you that much. The most you can lose is just the option. So here's an example, guys. Let's say that I wanted to do 1-3. So I wanted to buy this option at 1-3, and I want to do 10 grand. Or let's do $1,000, okay? $1,000's fair because we could also easily get filled with 1,000. I am going to pay up $13, okay? But what would happen if this coin went down close to 22, if crypto had a crazy sell-off and hype was trading close to 22? Oh my gosh. Then this coin would really increase in value. Or not the coin, the put would really, really, really increase in value. So if you look right here, the current price of the puts, where the stock, or not stock price, where the asset price is right now, is about 0.6, 0.4, 0.6. The current price of hype is 33.5. So the put directly below it is 0.6. If this went up to 0.6, that would be a multiple. Yeah, I mean, it would require a crazy drop in hype. But this is very clearly mispriced. And we haven't even talked about this on the Discord either. That would be a 42 times move. 43 times on your money if you buy this. And it looks like actually we could bid at 12 even, because there's no one bidding at 12. So there's just so much you can do with this. Again, there's a lot of things that we can do here that I don't want to talk about because there's a little too much alpha there to talk about publicly, and I'd rather do that in Discord. But for stuff like buying really cheap puts, basically far out of the money puts, or buying very far out of the money calls, this can be fantastic because these never expire. I am not affiliated with Paradex. I have never, at this point of this recording, ever talked to the team. I just found their site through a guy who suggested I go check them out because they had some alpha, and it looks like they do, especially because, I mean, these far out of the money puts and these far out of the money calls, if you really think that Hyperliquid's going to pop off, they call it like 50, they're very mispriced. And they do have the potential to have obviously crazy, crazy, crazy multiples if hype goes up at all. Yeah. So this one was trading what, like 10 times higher? Yeah. So, and if you want to see what had happened, why it decreased in value so much, we can look at the stock price, the spot price of hype, and you can see, guys, hype was trading at only 39, and these options were trading at like 0.15. But now that hype is trading down at like only $5 lower, this option has decreased this much. So what that makes me think is that if this coin Hyperliquid goes back up to, let's say, like $39, $38, which is very doable. If we look here, the coin going to 38 or 39 is definitely not crazy. If it just goes up to here, then this thing would obviously like 10x. So yeah. That is going to do it for today's video. If you like the alpha that I presented in here, I would highly recommend joining the Discord to get more of a deep dive on Paradex. And if you're interested in beating Polymarket, I have also released a course on that. Highly recommend you check it out. With that, definitely go check out Paradex. So many different things you can do, from exploiting the funding rate to buying far out of the money calls and far out of the money puts. Happy trading, everyone, and let's keep the alpha flowing.